If you're not financially successful or where you want to be at the moment, you want to look at building a personal brand and attaching that personal brand to the right business. If you've got 5 to 50,000 followers within a high value niche, if you're seen as a key person of influence, that's enough of a personal brand to make 7 figures. If you've got an elegant business model, you can sell to anyone in the world, you can communicate your value to anyone in the world. That's some of the stuff with an elegant business model. So essentially, those are the 2 pillars.
If you see people who are really successful, they just move faster than you could ever imagine. And I remind myself that a lot. And so I would start there. Whether you're going to start learning, whether you're going to start doing, whether you're going to start allocating, just start. Because you'll make some mistakes, but you'll learn a lot from it.
It's my attitude and it's my effort. You're totally in control of your attitude. And that's what I look for when I work with people and we hire people at AppSumo.com. And her effort. There's literally no restriction on effort. There's no law. The only law is 24 hours. Besides that, you can work as hard as you want. Think about in your own life and your own businesses, like what is the thing you're looking forward to and excited about? And it could even be small. Like one of my phrases I like is put it on the calendar. What's on the calendar? What are you looking forward to?
It's just go out and do something. Like take that next step. How about just call someone and ask them, do you want this service, right? Like after that, will you pay me for this? Just do any little step to move forward. Otherwise, a year from now, we're gonna have the same conversation. I don't know what to do next.
16-hour days and cracking the whip, and you're exhausted. You don't even know what you're doing, and you're scared, and you're lonely, and you're stepping and fetching, and you're leaving the cave trying to find something to kill and drag back. And oh my gosh, it's hard. It's really hard. And then add a bunch of outside societal variables to it that are all yelling at you that you're going to fail. It gets scary. It gets hard.
So what you're really trying to do is you're trying to have a dance with the marketplace. And you're trying to come up with a bit of a hypothesis, like a scientist would, how the market responds. And then if you get a good response, you double down on it. And if the response is not so great, you adapt and you change. I think entrepreneurship, that shared experience of building a business, is for everyone who wants that. Being a founder, not necessarily for everyone.
There's 2 kinds of people in the world. There's people that own the store, and there's people that scrape it off the floor. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can have a fantastic life. You won't be shackled to the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, the challenge of it, how hard it is, but you'll never be free.
Building wealth, it's a very simple formula. Spend less than what you make and invest the difference. Period.
Think about in your own life and your own businesses, like what is the thing you're looking forward to and excited about? And it could even be small. Like one of my phrases I like is put it on the calendar. What's on the calendar? What are you looking forward to?
Jump and the net will appear. Who I am now as a risk taker is so different than who I was when I began. And the way that you strengthen that risk muscle is by taking risks.
It's just go out and do something. Like take that next step. There's so many people I talk to that get stuck, right? And where do they get stuck? It's like, okay, I need a business plan. I need to do this. I need a first customer. Yeah, okay, right? But like, how about just call someone and ask them, do you want this service, right? Like after that, will you pay me for this? Just do any little step to move forward. Otherwise, a year from now, we're gonna have the same conversation. I don't know what to do next.
Hire the best people, especially if they're better than us. Always raise the standard in everything we do, in our people, our processes, and our products. And if somebody can't keep up with that standard, you got to do something about it. Otherwise, you've automatically lowered your standard.
And if you don't show up in your business loving what you turn over for your customers or your clients, your business is in decline.
The whole point is to switch you out of problem mode into solution mode. Most people can only see, these are the 152 ways that this could go wrong. And we started doing that to say, no matter how outrageous, there is a way to pull this off. So what would need to be true for this to work? Stop telling me all the things that aren't going to work. Tell me the thing that is going to work.
First reaction after understanding, identifying the problem is, okay, what does it take to get there? What's the risk and how big is the reward? Like that's the next step.
I had no business starting a business, and yet I started one. And I have found ways to create and make and sustain multiple 7-figure revenue streams. But I don't think I'm special. I strongly believe that every single business owner, once armed with what they know how to do, and once armed with the marketing, and once armed with the discipline, and once armed with the consistency, that they too can build a 6-figure revenue stream.
It's my attitude and it's my effort. You're totally in control of your attitude. And that's what I look for when I work with people and we hire people at AppSumo.com. And her effort. There's literally no restriction on effort. There's no law. The only law is 24 hours. Besides that, you can work as hard as you want.
There are really 5 phases to business. There's what we call the startup phase. Then we move into perseverance. That's like pre-profit. It's when we're still wearing lots of hats and there's not enough people. We get into viability. That's phase 3. That's when we actually look at the business and it's ready for growth. Then scale, and then lastly, succession. I have a systematic way of pushing the businesses through every phase with complete intention. And that's the problem with most small business owners.
For your vision, and our vision at Ariba was really simple. We said we want to build a great sustaining company into the 21st century. And then the mission is all about leadership, because the object of the game, particularly in Silicon Valley, is to be the category king. Because when you're the category king, you get 80% of the industry resources and 80% of market cap. And then your values. So, right, integrity's there, courage, high ambition, accountability, respect, the basics. And then we had a set of team rules that kind of personify those values. And by the way, same team rules for all the companies. The first one is direct, open, and honest communication. In a word, the truth. The second one is no idea is a bad idea. And then we added parentheses, unless CEOs. So, because it's all about making a safe environment.
Sure.
And you can make the safe environment when you mock out the CEO. The third one is always raise the standard in everything we do, in our people, our processes, and our products. And if somebody can't keep up with that standard, you got to do something about it. Otherwise, you've automatically lowered your standard. And the fourth one is we're a team first and functional specialist second. So you developers put your feet in the customer's shoes. You sales guys don't make commitments we can't keep. And then the fifth one is the most powerful one of all. And that is hire the best people, especially if they're better than us.
And I'll give you a specific mentality that really works well. But I would say the success of a founder and success if you want to be an employee CEO within a company is, how are you being resourceful? How are you solving the goal and the problems and the priorities with the resources that are available? Most people sit and they complain like, oh, I don't have this. Like, there's a lot of people, I'm not getting paid enough. Well, what are you doing about it? Did you put together a proposal? Did you go look at comparison analysis? Did you go create more revenue so it's obvious that people should pay you more?
We play a game called what would it actually take? So once we sit there and go, what is our goal? To build a studio as big as Disney. All right, before you even get started, we sit there and go, what? Like, no BS. Don't try and say like the things that we want it to be true, but actually what is true, that what would need to be true in order for us to build a studio as big as Disney. And so we sat there and we said, okay, it's going to take us to put our own capital in. It's going to take us to work hard. What does work hard look like? Is it a certain amount of hours? Is it a certain amount of achievements where you put things into place and you make sure you're always incrementally working towards that? Is it that maybe you have to, so this is exactly what we did with Quest. It was, we have to put the house on the line. And that was like the no BS, that's what it's going to take for us to go all in and build Quest Nutrition. And so once we sat there and said, okay, it's going to take us to put our house on the line. It's going to take me at the time to be the supportive wife to come in and help you out. It's going to take no vacations. It's going to mean you're going to need to take a third of your pay cut. Like, we literally sat down and wrote a laundry list of what it's going to take to start Quest Nutrition. And once we had that list, we just looked at each other and were like, all right, are we willing to do it? And when the answer is yes, now you just know what you're heading towards. You know the type of path that you're about to approach. And so there's no surprises. There's no all of a sudden him coming home and going, yeah, babe, so the business isn't doing well. And so, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but we lose our house, right? There's no surprise. We've established what we're going to do in order to go for that goal. And in that comes the sacrifices. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are the things that you're okay with putting aside for now? And a lot of that was my self-esteem. my ego of like, I didn't know what I was doing. So every day I'm struggling, I'm trying to figure something out, and I keep failing. But I knew that I had to learn in order to get to the goal that we wanted to get to. So I knew every day I had to get back up. And then the same with him, with the skill sets. What skill sets do I have to learn in order to get to the goal that we want to get to?
Now, if you want to achieve more wealth, you need to invest more money. How can you invest more money? You can spend less money, or you can earn more money. It's as simple as that. Now, there's a limit to how much less you can spend. There is a limit to how many costs you can cut, but there's no limit to how much money you can earn. So if you've already cut back as much as possible, and there's no other way that you can cut back, and you still want to invest more and you want to see the returns sooner, then you got to earn more money. Now again, how can you earn more money? Well, if you don't want to do it through starting a business or a side hustle, then you got to do it through your career. Are you at a job that will allow you to earn more money? Are you in a position that will allow you to earn more money? Maybe you have to get a certificate. Maybe you have to go back to school. Maybe you look for a different company. Maybe you look for a completely different career. Maybe you add on a second job. Now, I can't answer that question for you, but this is where you just have to be honest with yourself and see what type of life do you want to live, and are you being honest with yourself? And then you just plug in the numbers.
Like, you got a guy that he's running a small tech company or a dry cleaner or whatever it is. They will get into what we call perseverance mode, where they're making a little bit of money. And perseverance is like, you might be profitable 1 month, you might not be profitable the next month. You might be profitable for 6 months, and then you might not be, right? And you don't have the right people in the right seats. You don't have the right systems. There's no way to scale it. But what they do is they go, okay, they start taking all their revenue and they start putting it into areas that really shouldn't be invested in until they're truly viable. And they misstep because they don't know the sequencing. What I've realized is there's a sequencing to growing businesses. And it really doesn't matter what the business is. There's a sequencing to it. And if I can actually grow the business properly, hire the right people, create the right governance layers, understand the right KPIs, right, at the right time, then I can systematically get it through that process faster than just about anyone else. I've mastered that, and that's how we grow and run and scale and potentially exit all the businesses.
Really, if you look at all the best CEOs today, the ones that I admire, almost all of them are immigrants. My father's an immigrant, didn't speak English, came to this country. Satya at Microsoft, name these companies. Just most of them. The guy running Google, Sundar, a lot of the ones. Even Elon Musk, who is debatably a great CEO, South Africa. And so what is it with them that we can all learn from? And at AppSumo.com, we have Eamon from Iran, my father's from Israel, Alona's from Uzbekistan, Sean is from London, Vanessa's from Colombia. What is it about immigrants that we can all copy? Because that is what built America. Was we all came here from somewhere else. And so the two things that have really struck with me, and I saw this woman who exemplified it. Her name was Sharon, and she kicked so much. And she was working basically at the Best Western, serving breakfast. And if you've never been to a Best Western, it should be called the OK Western, right? It sucks. It sucks. But she was working like she was at, the Four Seasons. I could not believe it. She's like bringing me pancakes. She's doing all these things. And she was acting like a founder and an immigrant. I would say she is an immigrant. And I asked her, I said, tell me more. What's really going on? She's like, there's two things. It's my attitude and it's my effort. And I think immigrants have been very successful from thinking, I got to figure this out. I can work as hard as I want. I'm going to do at least my best attitude around that. And I think one of the things that's common, especially for employees, is thinking that they can't escape being an employee. Right? I thought I couldn't escape being middle class. And through, it does take time, patience, and belief, and vision. And vision sounds so ominous, but a dream, a fantasy. And through that you can create the reality that you can move outside of being the employee if that's your dream, which I think everyone should be an entrepreneur, whether that's a millionaire entrepreneur, billionaire entrepreneur, at least some type of entrepreneur.
I thought it was impossible or difficult to ever position myself as an authority to be a consultant. That was impossible. I thought it was impossible to ever create a course, much less create revenue streams of multiple 7 figures in the back of courses. Then I thought it was impossible to create a membership. And then I thought it was impossible to start a tech company. So the earliest part of my career was I want to become a photographer. And then I want to become a successful photographer. And then all of a sudden, the game got really slow. I could predict my income. I could predict the publicity. I could predict the resources. I could predict the connections. I could predict the publications. And when I predicted it, I loved it and I appreciated it. And then I just didn't want it anymore.
Key is when the world hands you a sack of sour lemons, the objective of the game is to turn it into sweet lemonade.
So what ends up happening for the majority of people is you end up just being a pawn in the system. You just continue fueling the system because guess what? Corporations are going to get you to spend. They hire the best marketers in the world to get you to spend more money. You're going to continue borrowing money because guess what? Banks are in the business of getting you to borrow money. And they hire some of the smartest people in the world to get you to borrow more money, to create programs to entice you to borrow more money. Salespeople are the same way. They go through trainings after trainings to learn how to sell something. Again, this doesn't make them necessarily evil. This is just the way the system works. The system is fueled by spending. What we don't have, the problem is we don't have the education to then tell us when we should spend and when we shouldn't spend.
We're always chasing the easy thing, right? The quick fix, right? The scrolling on the phone, the quick hit of dopamine, all of those pieces, where what we really want is to feel good, be happy, and have joy. Those are hard and take time and are difficult, right? It really matters to slow down sometimes. I go fast as anyone else, but sometimes we have to slow down if we want those pieces of life. That's slowing down and getting back to how do I feel, what's going on right now, and that takes a long time to get comfortable with. Like at first, it's really uncomfortable. Over time, it feels better and better.
You hear all these, like, I'd say fake entrepreneurs or fake coaches. They don't actually have any real businesses. They're like, you got to 10x today and you got to 5x. If you're not 5xing, you're failing. And I was like, I've done that, but it's also interesting. What if our goals now for AppSumo.com is to grow 10% next year. And it's been that for quite a lot of time. And the reality is when you set less ambitious goals for yourself, you can stick with them for longer because you're not burnt out. You're not tired. You can sustain. And then by having less ambitious goals, you also have creative freedom because you're not stressed about hitting a target. And that gives you the ability to create 10x opportunities because you're like, okay, cool. I'm not worried about making money in that, but I can go do things that potentially, be moonshots and really drive the company for the future.
Every Friday, up until we probably got to be about 100 people, we'd go around the room of what we call the round table. Anybody could say anything they want on their mind. We had 7 founders, right? And so this one guy stands up, our VP of marketing, one of the founders, Bobby Lynn, and he goes, this opportunity is way bigger than I ever imagined. Ariba's gonna be way more successful than even I can dream of. And he goes, I think we ought to go out and hire a real world-class VP of marketing who's done it before, and I'll focus on partnership. And you could just see jaws dropping. And the guy who came after him, I'll never forget his name was Guy Haskins. He was about 24 years old. He just goes, Bobby, I just came from a software company. It is gonna go bankrupt any day now. But if one guy would have had the courage to say what you just said right now, we could have taken it to the moon. So from that point on, it became noble to hire the best people, especially better than us. I've had the good fortune of living the American dream. And I feel really, really, really blessed. And so I think that was one of the things my parents, obviously my drive comes from my upbringing. And it's about paying it forward and giving it back. And so if you look at the things, whether it's what I did in higher education or in the business world or in public service, it's all about that next generation. One of the things that I started before I went off into government was called the Global Mentor Network. And it's all about mentoring tomorrow's transformational leaders at scale. So, we created all these videos of these really famous transformational leaders. And so if you ask me, okay, so what would be your big legacy you want to leave behind? I think back of what my dad would always say about fatherhood. He goes, you never know if you're a good father until you see your children's children. So I would say, it's all about my mentees. You never know if you're a good leader until you see your mentees, because you're teaching them how to cascade that down. And I've had some great mentors in my life. You know, there's a genealogy out here in Silicon Valley because this stuff's not written in a book, right? So you learn from the previous guy. My mom would always say the best way to learn is OPE, other people's experience. She would always say the best way to learn is from your mistakes. She goes, learn from other people's mistakes. You have time enough to make your own, right?
I think the biggest thing that I took away from my time at Stanford and from that class was the focus on going after really, really big opportunities. And I think one of the things that's so different, growing up here in LA, I think a lot of the business community that I was exposed to is more focused on cash flow, right? Like how quickly can this business turn a profit? You know, how can we do that really predictably? How much cash are we going to generate? At Stanford, the business culture is entirely oriented around, well, how big is that opportunity? Like, is that a huge opportunity? Is that opportunity big enough? Because if you're not going after something that could reach billions of people, that's not that interesting. And that was a totally different way of thinking for me, combined with the venture capital approach, which is really to invest a lot of money early and scale quickly, and then build out the business later after you've achieved scale, after you've achieved mass adoption.
So the key is the big opportunity is build a personal brand next to an elegant business model. That's everything. If you build the personal brand, it doesn't have to be a massive personal brand. If you've got 5 to 50,000 followers within a high value niche, if you're seen as a key person of influence in a high value niche, that's enough of a personal brand to make 7 figures. If you've got an elegant business model, you can sell to anyone in the world, you can communicate your value to anyone in the world. That's some of the stuff with an elegant business model. So essentially, those are the 2 pillars. If you're not financially successful or where you want to be at the moment, you want to look at building a personal brand and attaching that personal brand to the right business. Those are the 2 steps. So ultimately, if you said, if I was 21, I'm trying to build my personal brand, I'm trying to attach that brand to a great business. That's the key to capital. It's the key to talent. It's the key to customers. So it's that personal brand on a scalable business. You look at every single person who's succeeding right now, they're focused on just those 2 things.
If you're going to move on anything, what I would say is move as fast as possible. And it's fascinating because you've met with many billionaires now doing this podcast. I've met with many of them in buying businesses, building businesses, etc. And if there's one thing they all have in common, it's the same idea of speed. So, when I was talking to Bill Perkins the other day, him and I have done a bunch of deals together, he said the same thing. He's like, I am not smarter than anybody else or richer than anybody else. I just move faster than anybody else. And by the time they've even pondered an idea, I've made a move, made 3 mistakes, and found a better way. And so if I could give anybody broad money advice, it would be, you're waiting too long. And maybe be a little honest with yourself about, are you thinking a lot? Is there a lot of mental masturbation going on money? Or are you actually taking action and then doing like the scientific process? Trial, error, as quickly as possible with as little cash as possible so you can figure out what works for you. And then the only other thing I would add is, coming into this next year, you have 40 days left in the year, something like that. So January 1 can start on January 1 for you, or it can start today. It can start 30, 40 days earlier than everybody else. And because of that, you've already got a head run. I can't tell you how many people, in fact, I was just talking to another person this morning and they were saying, well, should I wait until 2025? Because business financials at the end of the year, they're wrapping up their financials. It's actually a really reasonable question. But the answer to waiting is almost always no. And so if you see people who are really successful, they just move faster than you could ever imagine. And I remind myself that a lot. And so I would start there. Whether you're going to start learning, whether you're going to start doing, whether you're going to start allocating, just start. Because you'll make some mistakes, but you'll learn a lot from it.
And it's all dependent on you, and you know that, and that's what you signed up for. So it's okay, but you don't want to stay there because it feels like you're on a treadmill. And so the way to level up out of that is to start to talk about, okay, how do we get some team on board that can create some revenue and that can make some of the widgets and can provide some of the services. And I've got to learn to manage my freaking time. Because when you're in the treadmill stage, when I was in the treadmill stage, you're running from crisis to crisis to crisis. You just wear a fireman's hat all the time. And you're not doing any thought past the moment. all you're doing is living in the moment. And that just is chaos, 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 chaos. The customers feel it, your spouse feels it, you feel it, and you don't feel like you're getting traction because you're not. You're on a treadmill. And so you've got to start managing your time and going, okay, I'm going to set out blocks of time to think about something other than the flavor of the moment, the crisis of the moment. And I'm going to start talking about how can I add team members, just a few key ones, just to get this off of my shoulders. They're tired.
Yeah.
And that sounds very obvious, very primitive, very simple, but that is exactly how you level up out of that and move on.
Yeah.
And so what would it take? And it's like, hey, if we have a deal that we're working on, like, what would it take? Now you can make the decision whether the price tag's worth it, but at least you learn the price. And what I have found in my life is that when I try to answer those questions, like, what would it take for me to be number one in this field? What would it take for us to lead this market? What would it take for me to be the best salesman in this company? The answers are not as crazy as you'd think. And so a lot of people spend most of their time answering questions not worth answering. It's playing games that aren't worth playing. It's like if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And so no one asks the question before they play the game, is this game worth it? And so when you ask the question of like, what is the big goal and what would it take? Then you just get to solve for it. And to me, it's just great. If I know what it is, then either I have those resources or I have to use my resourcefulness to get them.
The framework is that every idea is stupid. There's everyone, listen, you probably haven't had a corporate job yet in your
No, thank God.
Yes, thank God is right. Because there's this thing in corporate, I would say corporate America, but corporate world, and it's the brainstorming session. And they put everyone in a conference room and they go, we're going to brainstorm and try and come up with an idea for whatever it is. And he goes, but first, some ground rules for the brainstorming. Rule number 1, there is no such thing as a bad idea. And there's plenty of bad ideas. In fact, there's no such thing as a good idea. Every idea is bad. We just don't know why they're bad yet. And so the framework I approach, I assume all these ideas are ridiculous. I assume none of them are going to work. But here's the difference. The reason I start from that position is I don't want to commit the single worst thing you can do as an entrepreneur, which is fall in love with your idea. And you talk about the person who sees the dog throwing up and they go, I've got a great idea. And then what happens? Nothing. They go home and they go, this is a great idea. And they tell their partner and their partner goes, oh, that's brilliant. I'd buy that. And so they go, okay. And they begin working on a business plan and they write this 10-page business plan and they're dreaming about how amazing it's going to be. Just think about when we have this line of we can do cats too, and then giraffes. And, they've built this incredibly ornate business in their head, all based on this feeling that this must be a good idea. And you've got to nip that in the bud. And the way you nip it in the bud is you try, rather than dreaming how amazing this idea is, the first thing you think about, the only thing you think about is how can I quickly, cheaply, and easily collide this idea with a real person and find out, is it in fact a good idea or a bad idea? How can I do some kind of hack that will allow me to quickly find out whether customers actually would want this or not? And almost always you build this quick, cheap, down and dirty, I don't mean minimal viable product, I mean unviable. Something you can quickly do, like turn the car around and mail a CD to yourself just to find out the basic premise of can I actually use the US mail to send movies back and forth? Because if that had failed, well, great, on to the next one. And that's such a critical step. That's the framework that everyone has to have. It is not about having a good idea. Having ideas is easy and trivial. The important thing is how clever can you be to come up with a quick and cheap and easy way to test it. It's such a waste of time because what happens is, two things happen. One is this idea becomes so large and ornate and complicated in your head that you go, okay, Mark, I didn't need to get started. I need to raise $5 million because it's going to have to hire all these people to build this thing. And they're probably building absolutely the wrong thing. You can't just go ahead and base on what you think is going to happen. You've got to start from a position of real information. Listen, perhaps the cleanest way, since we have a bit of time, is to give you an example. I do a lot of work with university students. And I was meeting with a young woman who at the university, and she goes, "Okay, Marc, I've got this idea. What I want to do is peer-to-peer clothing sharing. In other words, I've got all this clothing in my closet that I never wear, or I don't wear very often. And I know my friends have a lot of clothing in their closet, and other friends have clothes in their closet. It'd be great if we had this website and we could all post what we have and we could borrow each other's clothes." And I'm going, "Okay, that's interesting. What can I help you with?" She goes, "I'm trying to figure out, should I drop out of college to do this? How do I raise the money to hire a team to build this for me?" And I went, "Whoa, slow down here. Okay, interesting idea. But let's figure out if we can come up with a quick and cheap and easy way to collide this idea with reality." And I said, "Do you have a piece of paper?" She goes, "Yes, Marc. I'm a college student. I have a piece of paper." I go, "Great. All right, do you have a marker?" She goes, "I have a marker. Do you have a piece of tape?" She goes, "Got a piece of tape." I go, "All right, I want you to write on the piece of paper, 'Would you like to borrow my clothes? Knock.' And I want you to tape that to the outside of your dormitory room. And we're going to find out in the next 24 hours whether the very, very first principle behind your idea is real. Is anyone going to knock? Because if nobody knocks, well, you've learned something very important right there. This thing you think is so attractive might not be. But let's be optimistic. Let's assume a bunch of people knock. Great, you've learned something, but you're also going to learn the next thing, which is, are there problems with fit? Are there problems with style? Are the people who knock and look at your clothes actually going to want any of them? All right, let's be even more optimistic. Let's say they do find out ones they want to borrow. Well, you're going to find out the next piece. How do you feel when your favorite blouse comes back stained or torn? You're going to find out about the cost of doing dry cleaning. You're going to find out all of these things, and you're going to find out all of this with a piece of paper, a tape, and a marker. None of this raising money, dropping out of school, and doing any coding. You're going to do something very simple. Now, is this scalable? No. Is this repeatable? No. But that's fine. You're going to do it all with 3x5 cards or on a pad. You're going to do it manually, and you're going to start losing your mind. But when you finally get to the point where you are ready to go and maybe raise money or drop out of school, you're going to know what you're dropping out of school for. You're going to know what you're raising money for. You're going to be able to tell someone, here's my acquisition cost. Here's my lifetime value. Here's my CAC. You're going to know all of these metrics. You're going to know the complexity. You're going to have tried all these different things. You're going to know what demographic, and you found out all of that for nothing except for your time. That's what I mean by figure out some way to validation hack. And that is the key to being an entrepreneur. You have an idea, quickly, cheap and easy, test it, find out it's ridiculous, abandon it, go on to the next one.
In life, only a third of people can become successful entrepreneurs. That's it.
What's the mindset of someone who can succeed at launching a business?
The mindset is curiosity. So what you're really trying to do is you're trying to have a dance with the marketplace. And you're trying to come up with a bit of a hypothesis, like a scientist would, how the market responds. And then if you get a good response, you double down on it. And if the response is not so great, you adapt and you change.
I used to work for Steve Jobs in the early 90s. Here's what I learned. There's a concept that he understood that very few people focused on back then in the early 90s of signal-to-noise ratio. His vision of signal was the top 3 to 5 things you have to get done in the next 18 hours. Not your vision for the business next week or next month or next year, just the next 18 hours you're awake. You're going to get those 3 things or those 5 things done that you have deemed critical for your mission. They must get done today. Anything that stops you from doing that is the noise. So this signal to noise ratio to be successful for Steve Jobs was 80-20. 80 signal, 20 noise. And I knew that to be true with him because he would email me at 2:30 in the morning, expect me to get back to him, because back then we didn't have texts, it was all email. He was right. He was right. And the only other person that I've seen that has a higher ratio than that is Elon Musk. He has no noise.
It's not something for the lighthearted. And I think entrepreneurship, that shared experience of building a business, is for everyone who wants that. Being a founder, not necessarily for everyone.
There's two kinds of people in the world. There's people that own the store, and there's people that scrape the shit off the floor. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can have a fantastic life. You won't be shackled to the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, the challenge of it, how hard it is, but you'll never be free. The stage director, Eric, says to the entrepreneurs I've never met, hold, don't mind the camera coming into your face, hold, maybe for 2 minutes. And I'm right there in front of them. I'm 12 feet from them, and I just look at them. Not smiling, not blinking, not frowning, just looking at them. And before they say a single word, I know if they're winners or losers. Just like that. And I'm right probably 99% of the time. Maybe I get it wrong, 1 out of 100. I doubt it though. You walk in a room, even though you've practiced, you're in the context of Shark Tank, 20 plus cameras, $1 billion plus in the 5 chairs there. You've been practicing for months your pitch, but it wasn't the real deal. Here you are, cameras are rolling, tape is running. You know you've only got so many minutes. This is your moment. And you're on national television, 100+ million people will see you in syndication. It's all in your mind, it's all in your mind. It's going through your head. Can you project who you are with your eyes and the way you're standing? Can you project your confidence? Or are you looking at the ground? Or are you looking away from me because you can't stand me looking at you directly without saying anything to you? Or do you push back? Or do you say, I'm gonna stake my aura, I'm gonna stake my ground here. I'm gonna show you I'm ready. And I can feel it, I can see that they're ready to do battle. They're ready to answer, they're ready to present, they're ready, or they're not. And I've taken that out of the Shark Tank. I see that every day in life, I see it. So you have to learn how to project yourself in front of your peers or who you want to lead or teach, or if you're a general or a preacher. That is maybe something you're born with, or maybe you can learn that. I don't know, I don't care. But if you don't have it, you're gonna fail.
I would say that it's so important to be true to yourself in whatever you do. And, I think that I have an incredible gut instinct, and I have very strong feelings that guide the decisions that I make, and that has really led me so well. So I'd be like, have conviction about what it is that you feel deeply and go with that. But by the same token, I'd say, know what you don't know. Because there's a lot of places where I'm weak, and one of my greatest strengths and a superpower of mine has been know what you don't know and hire people into the kind of gaps and the holes that you have in your own knowledge. I feel like I'm so privileged that I've worked with people in one company and been able to bring them into another company and another, and I start almost a lot of things with like a similar group of people, and I love that because they fill in for where I'm not so good, and that's been really key. And then, despite everything you've been told, you're gonna have to take some risks. And I think that everything that this kid knew was like, don't be risky, don't take any risks, like figure everything out. And what I've learned is that nothing is going to come easy. I moved to America with a 2-year-old and a newborn baby, and I had no friends here. You forget when you move country, you move from all senses of what is familiar to you, and that's it's very difficult in any stage of your life, but there's a special vulnerability that comes along with having a new baby. and having a new venture that you don't really understand how to run at the time. And so I would say like learning to take risks as probably being the best thing that I've done.
We have a rule called the 70-30 rule, which is basically the way to make a transition, because we get asked this question a lot, right? Is like someone requests a call and they go, well, I have a day job, but I really want to be a speaker. I really want to be an author, or I really want to become a coach. And they go, how do I know when to make the leap? And the answer is 70-30, is you go, all right, so right now we got to go, what's the main thing? And that's like 100% of the money's coming from this thing. And then we want to build the new thing. And we build up the new thing into where the new thing is about 30%. And once it gets to 30, then you can make the leap and kind of like go for it. Because it's hard to get it past 30 without going all in. But if you're at least 30% of your income is coming from that, you know it's going to work.
You're doing 30% with 10, 15% of your time.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, I'm doing this on the weekends or at nights or whenever, lunch break or whatever, I'm able to make this money. And now what if I had all my time? Then I could go all in on it, and that 30 could get to, maybe 50 pretty quickly, % of the money it was making, and then hopefully 100% and beyond.
Yeah, and when you look at money and doing new things, you hear the term runway a lot, and I think that's actually a good metaphor, because it's like, how long is my window to succeed with the new thing? You extend your runway by limiting the amount of cash that you need to get the thing off the ground. So if you keep your expenses down, you work pretty lean, and you stay out of debt, and then you're extending your runway. You're giving yourself more time to take off before the plane just kind of crashed. But here's what I'll say. Have you ever built Lego?
Back in the day, yeah.
Okay, so get a box of Lego and you look at the front of the box and you see the front of the box and you see the picture and you go, ooh, that'd be fun. And then you tip out all the Lego on the table and it's just a big mess. And you think, how on earth do I put this together? Fortunately, they put instructions in the box and they say, put this one on this one, this piece by this piece by this piece. And if you follow piece by piece by piece, it's actually incredibly easy to build what looks like the front of the box. Now, what happens with entrepreneurship is people see someone's life on Instagram and they go, oh, I want that, right? That's the front of the box. But then they look at all the things that you need to do for entrepreneurship and they go, oh, I've got to hire people and create products and have a website and set up a LinkedIn post every day and I've got to do all these things. And then they feel like total overwhelm. And what actually is needed is a piece by piece, step by step approach where it's like, okay, first do this, then this, then this, and then you go through and actually you can build something that's on the front of the box. To use another analogy, you and I would jump on an airplane without even thinking twice about our safety. But 100 years ago, it was one of the most dangerous things in the world to do. But they figured out the process, they figured out aerodynamic principles, and the combination of knowing the principles and knowing the process means that it's the safest way to travel. So, I think entrepreneurship is the same. There's a process, there's principles. If you follow process, if you follow principles, you can actually safely build a business.